Hi friends, and welcome to the series on CSAT 2014 paper. Right? There are many solutions which are available for CSAT 2014 paper, but I thought that it would be beneficial for you if I solve the paper according to the topics, right? So this is the first session on this series, right? And we will be dealing the questions on basic numeracy, and we'll see how to solve them in minimum possible time. I know that you have seen lots of videos and it's little dated, but still it is useful to see basic numeracy and other topics questions together and how to solve them, right? So first question is, a bell rings after every 18 minutes, second after 24, and third after 32 minutes. If all the bells ring at 8 o'clock in the morning, when will they ring again together, right? So the first bell rings after 18, then 36, right? Then 54, then 72, and so on, right? The second bell rings after 24, 48, then it would be 72, and so on, right? The third bell would ring after how much? 32, 64, 96, right? And so on. And we have to find when will they ring together, right? So which means that this is a question of LCM. We have to find a common multiple which comes in this series as well as this series as well as this series, right? So we have to find a LCM of 18, 24 and 32, right? So the simplest way is write them in the prime form, so it becomes 2 into 3 square. Many teachers tell you that this is a lengthy way out. Yes, it might be, but it's a foolproof way out. So I don't think that people would like to take risks in their exam, right? So go with this foolproof method, right? And finally it's 32, which is equal to how much? 2 raised to the power 5, right? So the LCM would be 2 raised to the power 5 into 3 square, right? Which is 32 into 9. 32 into 9 would be the LCM, which is equal to 288. Now we know that 3 hours or 4 hours is equal to 240 minutes. So how many 48 minutes are left? Which of the options is 48 minutes? Only this option is 48 minutes. So this is the right answer. Question number 2 on basic numeracy was, A and B decided to travel from place X to Y by bus. A has 10 rupees with him, but he finds that it is 80% of the bus fare. So from this we can find the bus fare. 10 rupees is 80% of the bus fare, which means the bus fare is how much? Bus fare is 10 would be 80% of the bus fare. 80% is 4 by 5. So it's always useful to remember the fraction and equivalent percentages. So which implies the fare is 12.5, right? B finds that he has 3 rupees with him and hands it over to A, right? So now A has 13 rupees with him. In this context, which of the following statements is right? Now A has just enough money to buy the 2 tickets. So A has 13, which is 50 paisa more. So he still needs to know, after buying 2 tickets, A is left with 50 paisa, right? So this is the right answer. So you see, if you remember that 80% is 4/5, it is very easy to solve, right? As per the agreement with the bank, a businessman has to refund a loan in some equal installments without interest. After 18 installments, he found that 60% of his loan is refunded, right? How many installments are left? How many installments were there in the agreement, right? So 60% installments means he has paid 18 installment means he has paid 60% of the loan. So 18 means So 60% of the loan is paid if by 18 installments, right? This is a simple you can do it with simple unitary method. 100% loan would be paid by how much? 18 divided by 60 multiplied by 100, right, which is equal to 30, right? Since they are equal installments, so we don't need to assume the installment as I, right? Simply you can do it without assuming anything, right? Next question was from time, speed and distance. A worker reaches his factory 3 minutes late. His speed from his house to the factory is 5 kilometers per hour. If he walks at 6 kilometers per hour, he reaches the factory 7 minutes early. The distance of the factory from his house is how much, right? So in this we see that distance remains the same, right? In all the cases the distance remains the same. In first case, if he takes t minus t plus 3, right, if t is the usual time. In second case he takes t minus how much? 7. So difference between these two times is 10, right? Now if the d is the distance, then d by 5, right, minus d by 6 should be equal to 10, right? 10 is in the minutes and everything is in kilometers per hour, so we have to divide it with 60, right? If you solve it, it becomes d by 30 is equal to 1 by 6, or d is equal to 5, right? So C is the answer. So the catch here is you have to convert it into the minutes to hours, right? And if you can directly see that the difference between these two time zones is 10, right, then you don't need to even take this variable, right? Next question. So there were two questions for LCM. This again is an LCM question. 5 persons fire bullets at a target at the interval of 6, 7, 8, 9 and 12 respectively. Find the times they would fire the bullet together in an hour, right? So again we have to find the LCM of 6, 7, 8, 9 and 12. So LCM of 6, 7, 8, 9 and 12 we have to find. The LCM would be, you see that 7 is a prime, right? How many 3's are there in this? 2 3's are there, right? So it has to be 9 into 7 into how much? There are, how many 2's are there? 2's would be 8, right? 2 cube is there, right? And what else is there? Nothing, right? So it has to be 9 into 7 into 8. This is the LCM of our numbers, right? So they are in seconds, right? This is in seconds. In minutes, how many minutes are there? This divided by 60. So you see that you don't need to perform the calculations right away, right? So this divided by 60, which gives you 3 into 7 into 4 divided by 10, right? So this is 12 into 7, which is 8.4, right? So they ring together after every 8.4 minutes. How many minutes are there in an hour? There are 60 minutes in an hour. So 60 divided by 8.4, right, which is equal to 600 divided by 84, right? So this is equal to 100 divided by how much? 14, or 50 divided by 7, so approximately 7, right? So if you see, you can bring down the calculations to the last process and then do the calculations, so that it becomes easy for you to do the calculations at one go. Sixth question was the group, there are 630 children in group for a group photo session. Each row contains 3 less than the front row, but which of the following is not possible? So which of the following rows is not possible? If n is, we can do this using options because that's the easiest way out, right? So if n is equal to 3, number of rows are 3, then the number of kids would be a minus 3, a and a plus 3. If you add them, the result would be 3a, right? So to get a integer value of a, 630 should be divisible by 3. So we can see that 630 is divisible by 3, so 3 is possible. If this is 4, right? If the number of students are 4, we can take this as a minus 3, a plus 3, then a plus 6, right? We can take something like this, which would give us 4a plus 6, right? This would give us 4a plus 6 should be equal to 630, which implies 4a is equal to how much? 624. So 624 should be divisible by 4. We know that last two digits are divisible by 4, so 624 is divisible by 4, right? When the number of rows are 5, we can take them as, to make things easy, we can take them as a minus 6 comma a minus 3, a plus 3, a plus 6. So you would see 6 cancel, 3 cancel, you are left with 5a. So 5a, 630 should be divisible by 5, it is, so we'll get the right answer. And now if a is equal to, the number of rows are 6, we can take these 5 and a plus 9, a plus 9. We would be left with what? We would be left with 6a plus 9 is equal to 630, which means 6a is equal to 621. Now 621 should be divisible by 6. We know that 621 will be divisible by 6 if it is divisible by both 2 and 3, and 621 is not divisible by 2, hence 6 is the answer. This becomes slightly longer question because we are using options, and unfortunately D was the correct answer, right? Had it been A, the question would have been slightly smaller. This is the 7th question, was a general question, right? There are 3 statements which were given, but these were irrelevant statements, right? The first statement says the minute and the hour hand move without jerk, which means it is a good clock. It does not lose or gain any time. The clock shows a time between 8 and 9, right? So there is a time between 8 and 9, and the two hands of the clock are above one another, right? After how many minutes, nearest integer with will the two hands be again lying on each other, right? So even if this information is not given, that they are between 8 and 9, or even we are this is irrelevant, right? That they are between 8 and 9. We know that we have all if we know the clocks, we know that again if they want to lie upon each other, they have to cover a relative distance of 360 in 11 by 2 in 5.5 minutes, right? Which means it becomes 720 divided by 11, which is approximately equal to 65.4 something, right? So the nearest integer is 65. So if the third day of a month is Monday, which of the following is the fifth day? So fifth day would be 26th of this month, right? Third day is Monday, 10th day would be Monday, then 17th would be Monday, and 24th would be Monday, right? If 24th is Monday, 25th is Tuesday, and 26th is Wednesday. So this was a calendar question. There are many more calendar questions which have been asked in CSAT and other exams which are tougher than this one, but yes, you can expect this easy question as well. and there could be tougher questions as well. For a charity show, the total tickets sold were 420. Half of them were sold at rupees 5 each, one third at the rate of 3 each, and the rest at 2 each. Which is the total amount received? So this is a question of fractions, right? So half of them were sold at 5, half of them means 210 were sold at 5, one third sold at 3, right? So one third of 420, which means how much it is? 140, right? Sold at 3 and rest sold at 2. How many are left? You can just add and subtract. So 420 minus 210 is 210. 210 minus 140 is 70. So 70 was sold at 2, right? So which means this becomes 1050 plus 420 plus 140, right? So 1470 plus 140 is this one, 1610, right? So this is the right answer. So this, the question which we are going to do now, which I am saying is 10th question, might be in a basic numeracy, or it might be, you can consider it in the basic mental ability as well, right? Let's see what the question says. 4 people A, B, C, D. So Alok, Bhupesh, Chandar and Dinesh has total of rupees 100 with them. A and B between them has as much money as C and D between them, right? But A has more money than B. C has only half the money that Dinesh had. Alok has in fact rupees 5 more than Dinesh. Who has maximum amount? So we have to find maximum amount. We know that A plus B is equal to C plus D is equal to 50. But Alok has more money than Bhupesh, so A is greater than B. We can write that. We can say A is greater than B. Then it says, but Chandar has only half the money that Dinesh had, so D is greater than C. Right? Alok has in fact rupees 5 more than Dinesh, right? So A is greater than D as well, right? Which of the following, who has the maximum amount of money, right? So it cannot be B, it cannot be C, it has to be between A and D, and we know that A is greater than D, so it is Alok. The next one is basic arithmetic, right? You don't have to know any fundas and all that stuff. This is basic logic. In a row, A is 11th position from left and B is 10th position from right. If A and B interchanges, A becomes 18th from the left, right? Which means B was 18th from the left, A was 11th from the left, and B was 18th from the left, right? So 18th from the left means 10th from the right, right? So if we include those 18 people, there are 9 people behind those 18 people, right? So the total number of how many people are there in the row other than A and B? Other than A and B, right? This is important, right? So there are 25 people more. Total people would be how many? 27, because 18th position from the left is equivalent to 10th position from the right. So the number of people would be 18 plus 10 minus 1, right? Which is 27, but we have to find how many people are there in row other than A and B. So there are 25 people. Next question says 2 cars start together towards each other from place A and B, which are at a distance 160. They start at 8:10. If their speeds are 50 and 30 per hour respectively, they will meet each other at, right? So they are traveling in opposite direction, which means we would add their speeds. So 50 plus 30, 80. So and distance, total distance traveled has to be 160, they would travel it in 2 hours, right? Which means they would take 2 hours and 10 hours 10 minutes. So 10 a.m. they would meet each other. So you can see that most of them are oral questions. You don't need to write anything. There are 50 students admitted to a nursery class. Some students can only speak English and some can only speak Hindi. 10 students can speak both English and Hindi. If the numbers of students who can speak English is 21, then how many students can speak Hindi? How many students can speak only Hindi? And how many students can speak only English, right? So it's given that there are 50 students admitted in class. Some of them speak only English, some of them speak only Hindi, and some of them speak both English and Hindi. So there is no student who does not speak any of the two languages, right? So these are best solved using Venn diagrams, right? Since I don't have tool, I'll just try to make the shape of Venn diagram. So something like this here, and we'll add another circle. We have to add a circle, right? We have to add another shape. So let's see. So let's say these are the two circles. One is the Hindi speaking students, the another is English speaking, and the intersection is those who speak both English and Hindi, right? If the number of students who can speak English is 21, these include students who can speak both English and Hindi, means students who can speak English only are 11, right? Students who can speak English only, which is denoted by EO, are 11. EH are how many? EH are 10, right? Hindi only we have to find, and total we know it's 50. Now EO plus EH plus HO should be 50, right? So this has to be 29, right? What do we have to find? We have to find how many students speak Hindi, how many can speak Hindi, only Hindi, and how many can speak English only, right? So it has to be 39, 29 and 11 respectively, right? If you know the technique of Venn diagrams, this would be very easy. The next question is from percentages. A gardener increased the area of his rectangular square by increasing its length by 40% and decreasing the width by 20%. The area of the new garden has what? So the new length is how much? It is 1.4 times the previous length. The new breadth is 2.8 times the previous breadth, right? So it is 14 into 8, which you have to find, right? So this becomes how much? 112, right? 1.12 lb, which is how much? Which is 12% increase, which is option B. Again a oral question. The 15th question, which is marked here, is from profit and loss. It says Sohan sells 2 goat at same price, making 10% profit on one and suffers a 10% loss on another. So what does he make? So here the selling price is same, right? On one he's make 10% profit, on another he make 10% loss. So let's imagine a selling price such that, so 10% profit means 1.1 times CP, 10% loss means 0.9% CP. So there are two CPs, let's call them CP1 and CP2, right? Let's assume something, the SP is the same, right? Let's assume SP to be 99. Why are we taking 99? Because it's divisible by both 0.9 and 1.1, right? If we take SP as 99, CP1 would be how much? It would be 90, CP2 would be how much? It would be 110, right? So CP1 plus CP1 plus CP2 would be 200, right? And SP is how much? Total SP is 198. So the loss is 2 over 200, this multiplied by 100, which means he makes 1% loss, right? So if you assume the things perfectly in such a way that calculations are reduced, you would end up saving more time for your other sections, which are basically RC and logical reasoning, right? So try to work on your strong areas, try to solve them as soon as possible, and devote that time in RCs or other areas in which you feel that you are weak. The last question, I think there can be 1 or 2 more questions. I could not find them, but if I find them, I'll make another video on them. Out of 120 musicians in a club, 5% can play all the 3 instruments: guitar, violin and flute. If it so happens that the number of musicians who can play only 2 of the above instruments is 30. The number of musicians who can play guitar alone is 40. What is the total number who can play violin alone and flute alone, right? So again, this can be very easily done through Venn diagrams. If you know the Venn diagrams, then you can very easily do that. 5% can play all the 3, which means 1/20th. 5% is 1/20th of 120, which means 6 can play all the 3. 6 can play all the 3, and 30 can play 2 and only 2, right? And there are who can play 40 can play only guitar. What is left is the musicians who play violin alone plus flute alone, and this total has to be 120. So that's what we have to find, right? So if you see that it's 6, right? The last digits are 0 here, 0 here. If you subtract them from 120, you would get 0. Then you subtract a 6, you would get 4 as last digit. So 44 is the right answer. Okay. So you have to cut down the calculations because there are options given. You can use the options as well. Try to solve them in as minimum time as possible, so that you can revise your paper and you can see where you are making mistakes and all that stuff, right? So if you enjoyed this video, we do such techniques in our CSAT course, right? We would be doing many more questions, so that there is lot of practice which would be there. We try to make concepts as simple as possible, so that you don't have to undergo lots of and remember lots of formulas, and you can do the questions with minimum possible calculations and minimum possible difficulties, right? So if you like this video, you can subscribe to the course at www.csatprep.wordpress.com, right? The course is just for $14.99, but it would cover the entire syllabus for CSAT. I would like to thank you for watching this video, and I wish you all the best for your preparations.